Hai, Assalamualaikum. Selamat tengah hari semua. Thank you for joining us today. Today we have our blended learning, blended and cookies and cream blended coffee series session. So our barista today is Dr. Muhammad Noor Ismail Ismail from UiTM. He's the senior lecturer from Department of Hotel Management, Faculty of Hotel and Tourism Management in UiTM Malaysia. So Dr. Ismawi currently serves as the head of e-learning at the Digital Learning Division, Institute of Continuing Education and Professional Studies, UiTM, since 2024, May 2024. His major role is oversees the development of MOOC, micro-credentials, self-instructional material and learning management platforms for the university, and he holds a PhD in Hotel and Tourism Management at the same institution. And his journey in this field of hospitality management started when he obtained both diploma in hotel management in 2004 and Bachelor of Science Honors in Hotel Management in 2006 from UiTM. He then awarded as the Young Lecturer Scheme Scholarship from UiTM to further his study and graduated from the University of Surrey, United Kingdom with Masters in International Hotel Management with distinction in year 2009. So he has published numerous research articles in journals, conference proceedings, and chapters in the book. And his research interest is hospitality technology, hotel operation, consumer behavior, and hospitality service marketing. And he also involved in various consultancy and also short-term research project with government agency and the private sector. So Dr. Ismawi, welcome to KDIT. I am Dr. Muhammad Nusha Muhammad Nazir, the head barista for Cookies and Cream Blended Cafe Series, hosted by Cat UPM. So, welcome everyone. So, without further ado, I will let Dr. Ismawi share your slide and can start sharing your topic today, which is Teaching Without Walls Blended Learning for Future-Ready Graduates. The floor is yours, Dr. Ismawi.
Right. So, boleh nampak kot
Boleh buat full screen.
full screen alright.
Slideshow. Dr. Ismawi. Okay, yes, it's full now.
Alright.
Cuma suara Dr. Ismawi a bit far, a bit slow.
Okay.
Jauh sikit.
Boleh?
Boleh clear now.
Boleh dah clear.
Thank
Alright.
you.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good afternoon. Salam Malaysia Madani. Tapi sebabkan saya ni warga UiTM, dia ada salam tambahan. Salam UiTM di hatiku. Alright. First of all, I would like to thank you to the head of barista kita pada hari ini, iaitu Dr. Noor Hisham, and also of course thank you to Cat Late. So saya pun tadi baru belajar nama how to pronounce the Cat Late of University Putra Malaysia, headed by Prof. Wan Zuhanis. I've been together with Prof. Wan in MEPTA, right? So basically, I knew she Bismillah. Okay. Of course, hari ini I thank you to Cat Late for inviting me to have this sharing session. This should be laid back, santai-santai punya session because waktu pun waktu lunch so kita faham-faham lah. Mungkin tuan-puan bersiaran bersama nasi kerabu di depan di depan meja, di depan ni, please help yourself and make sure, because kita punya tema hari ni coffee, of course kena ada coffee, right? Saya bukan support, bukan nak promo Zeus tapi saya sukalah. Alright. Okay, nak disclaimer awal nanti kita promote Zeus pula. Okay. Thank you. So topik yang saya di request oleh Dr. Hisham untuk share pada hari ini adalah bercakap berkenaan dengan blended learning. Alright, blended learning. So saya gempakkan sikit. I tried to rename title to be Teaching Without Walls, Blended Learning for Future Ready Graduates. So that basically what I'm going to share in this afternoon, right? So so ceria sikit saya punya gambar, right? So my name has been presented just now, introduced just now, Muhammad Nur Ismawi bin Ismail. I'm currently the head of e-learning at the Digital Learning Division, Institute of Continuing Education and Professional Study, ISEP, UITM. In UITM, the Digital Learning Initiative and also the learning management system called the U-Future is tasked under our purview, which is the Institute of Continuing Education, because we govern, we operationalize the use of learning management system called the U-Future. All right. So that's why I basically actively involved in blended learning. Right. So I'm sure that in UITM and also in UPM and other public and private university, blended is learning is not new. Okay, kita dah used to hear the word ni quite some time. Okay, kalau kita talk about a bit of history of blended learning ni, di Malaysia dia bermula pada tahun 2015 semasa Pelan Strategik Pendidikan Tinggi Negara. So masa pembangunan Pelan Strategik Pendidikan Tinggi Negara daripada 2015 hingga 2025 dah dimasukkan berkenaan dengan pembelajaran teradun ataupun blended learning di lonjakan ke-9. The lonjakan 9 tu dia punya KPI adalah by 2025 70% of the program in Institute of Higher Learning ada elemen blended, di offer secara blended learning. Alright, so tu menyingkap sejarah lah. It started with two types of blended learning. Before this blended learning, dia ada dua, iaitu pembelajaran teradun sokongan ataupun dia panggil enhancement blended learning. Another one is pembelajaran teradun gantian ataupun kita panggil blended learning substitute. But over the years, in 2019, JPT, Jabatan Pendidikan Tinggi, MOHI, have come up with one decision and garis panduan that decided that the term blended learning should be called pembelajaran teradun gantian ataupun substitute blended learning pada 2019. So starting from 2019, actually kita dah pakai garis panduan pembelajaran teradun ataupun blended learning ni lah. So before this, ada dua types. So pensyarah dia confused. Is my program substitute or enhancement? Sokongan before this bila dia kata pembelajaran teradun sokongan adalah dia tak termasuk dalam lesson plan ataupun table 4. Dia hanya supporting saja. But in 2019 bila dia dah perkenalkan ataupun kuasakan pembelajaran teradun gantian, maka that started where we call it substitute blended learning, right? And it must reflect on your lesson plan. Okay, blended learning must reflected in your lesson plan. Okay, so blended learning is not about replacing teachers with technology. We are not replacing. We actually it's about reimagining how we teach, we learn, and we connect. Okay, sebab kebiasaannya secara konvensional, if we try to like look how conventional method of teaching learning, normally bila kelas habis 3 jam, then that's it. So kita akan jumpa balik pelajar tu next weeknya, kan? So dia tak ada aktiviti follow up, aktiviti self learning yang kita boleh bagi kat pelajar ataupun pelajar tu akan buat sepanjang minggu tu. So what happen is dia macam dia some sort of disconnect and pelajar tu hanya menumpukan kepada pensyarah saja to get the sources. Okay, so those are the conventional. So but via blended learning ni kita macam bagi tugasan, we co-create The term yang digunakan adalah we co-create the learning experience tu together with the student. Kita nak bagi some sort of responsibility for the student on their learning juga. Okay, so they decided when to learn, how to learn, where to learn. Okay, so why blended learning? First of all, it's to support the Malaysian Higher Education Blueprint 2015-2025, lonjakan 9 on globalized online learning, and of course to encourage innovation and also lifelong learning. We also the purpose of blended learning is also to support SDG 4, the quality education, and of course to align with IR 4.0, AI, big data, analytics in education. So that's the purpose why blended learning is become the kita kata the top dekat Ministry of Higher Education. You know, dia nothing new lah, dan di sangat digalakkan, right? So blended learning is about the new era of learning. Okay, the classroom has no wall. Learning happen anywhere, anytime. Okay, so that is the approach that we are trying to promote by blended learning. All right, the student crave the flexibility and also personalization here, because for example in UiTM, I boleh bagi example UiTM lah. The way we design our timetable, for example, let's say I ada satu subjek yang 3 jam kredit. When the subject is registered 3 hours lecture, when the subject is registered as a blended learning, 2 hours secara conventional and 1 hour is plot on the online learning. And online that 1 hour online learning, walaupun kita plot di jadual, let's say lah, on Wednesday 9 PM to 10 PM, not necessarily that the learning tu akan berlaku pada that particular time. No, we that is the purpose of documentation on timetabling. Tapi the student have the responsibility to lengkap, to fulfill 1 hour of self-learning via platform LMS. Alright? So educators need to shift, the new era of learning is educator need to shift from sage to the stage to guide on the site, you know. Sage on the stage tu apa? Maksudnya conventional. Before this kita macam, kita lah the only source of information of student, like a spoon feed punya concept. But now via the blended learning ni, kita guide on site. Kita guide dia macam mana nak cari. Bila dia tanya kita where to get the certain resources, what is the best tool, so we are able to advise them. Okay, not just bila dia kata sir ada share slide, saya sharekan nota ebook, patutnya kita ajar dia where to get the ebook, bukan kita yang bayar, kita download and kita share dekat dia, right? So from by stage to stage ni, this is the comparison lah. Kalau conventional lecturers as expert, center of attention. Kalau guide on site, lecturer as facilitator. Okay, normally one way. Dalam kelas conventional selalunya one way, walaupun kita adalah bertanya soalan kan, tapi I perasan lah, bila I conduct classes through online, walaupun synchronized ataupun unsynchronized, budak tu jadi lebih aktif. I do not know why. Maybe some research need to be conducted on the current generation, but dia jadi lebih hyper kalau kita buat secara online lah. Alright, dia menjawab, walaupun kadang-kadang dia close kamera tu pun satu isu juga kan, tapi at least dia menjawab dia. Tapi bila kita tanya conventional ni, kadang-kadang ada isu dia tak nak menjawab. Right? Focus on content delivery. Kalau guide on site, focus on learning design and experience. Before this, kita knowledge transmission. But through blended learning, kita nak knowledge co-construction ataupun co-creation. Some of the input yang valuable tu, yang student cari tu sebenarnya kadang-kadang input kepada pensyarah juga. Kadang-kadang saya dapat maklumat baru daripada how dia explore information bila dia present via class, bila ataupun bila dia jawab forum. So kadang-kadang isu yang dia jawab ataupun dia ketengahkan dalam forum tu lebih rich berbanding conventional, right? So why blended learning matters? It empowers students to take ownership of the learning, of course. Apart from that, kita nak build the digital literacy skill. Okay, because salah satu daripada learning outcome yang MQA highlighted kan adalah digital literacy skill, right? So bukanlah maksudnya subjek kita tu kena ada elemen digital, tak. Maksudnya the ability of the student to search information, to filter the information, to find the right sources and everything. So to use the available tools, alright. So kadang-kadang bila the student present ataupun hasilkan video, for example, the tool that they use to present kat kita tu lebih canggih sebenarnya. Kadang-kadang I impressed with the end product ataupun assignment yang dia submit kepada kita lah. Encourage creativity teaching and also authentic assessment, and also makes learning resilient even in time of distraction. Ini salah satu dia reason why blended learning, because as I said just now in the beginning, the pembelajaran teradun gantian had been promoted pada tahun 2019. The right time masa COVID hit. Okay, so walaupun sebenarnya blended learning ni has started in 2015, tapi ada some lecturer yang macam masih tak nak berubah, resistant to changes and everything. Tapi bila the COVID hit tu, dia macam satu push factor untuk diorang tu. Before this ada je alasan kata, oh subjek saya ni memang tak boleh blended or tak sesuai and everything, but then the COVID tu, the pandemic tu really proved that actually majority of the subject can be blended. Cuma dia perlu sedikit effort, effort to bangunkan content, assessment, buat activity, and also kita sendiri ada effort nak kena belajar lah learning tu kan. I'm sure the lecturer selalu promote pasal lifelong learning, but then kita lupa diri kita pun. Maksudnya lifelong learning tu pun should be imposed on us. Kita as a lecturers, educators, we should never stop learning new things. Okay. So this is the blended learning. What is the blended learning? So definition by JPT ataupun MOHI, it's a structured integration to face-to-face and online learning within the same course. Okay, so first ada dua term ataupun dua number yang memang kita kena ingat pasal blended learning. Pertama adalah kita kena ingat pasal 30-80. Tapi sebenarnya to be exact dia adalah 30% to 79%. Sebenarnya lah because kalau a course tu 80 ke atas, dia dah jadi ODL. Okay, bila khusus kita tu ada elemen online learning dia tu lebih daripada 80% dan ke atas, dia dah jadi ODL. So the blended learning is between 30 to 79% of the SLT. Okay. So this is all the various definition lah from an MQA perspective and also from the Commonwealth of Learning. COL2 is a Commonwealth of Learning, the organization that govern and also promote the online learning juga. Okay, so they define blended learning as a thoughtful fusion of face-to-face and online learning experience, purposely designed where both mode complement and enhance one another. Dia macam complement yang chapter-chapter ataupun topik-topik, isu-isu yang tak boleh di-cover di dalam kelas, boleh di-cover dalam forum di blended learning. So it enhance and complement each other, right? So alright, now kita cakap pasal operational definitions of blended learning ataupun the term yang kita guna adalah pembelajaran teradun gantian ataupun in English dia adalah substitute blended learning. So as substitute blended learning is an approach that combine online learning mode and face-to-face mode in the range of 30% to 80% student learning time. Okay, let's say lah our subject is 103 credit, 120 SLT, maka kalau kita registerkan blended learning kita the lowest percentage which is 30%, meaning to say 36% of the SLT must be conducted via blended learning. Okay. Dan daripada 30% tadi tu yang kita pilih tadi 36 jam tadi, dia akan guna the next formula which is the 40 40 20. Okay, daripada 36 jam itu pula di 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 apa di apa diformulakan mengikut formula 40 40 20. So 40 40 20 itu apa? 40 come from learning material, the content that we have loaded to the platform ataupun whatever tool yang kita guna. Another 40% adalah via the learning activity, forum, discussion, tengok movie, and whatever, Padlet ke, journal, diary, e-book reading and everything lah, to learning activity. And also the third one, another 20% came from learning assessment. Okay, perlu bila when we register our subject to be a blended learning, maka kena ada 20% of element learning assessment via the online platform. Okay, so this is the sample how kita nak operationalizekan the learning, the blended learning. Okay, saya ambil contoh ke subjek tu 120 credit. Okay, so let's say we choose the lowest percentage, which is 30%. We can opt for 40, we can opt for 50, we can opt for whatever percentage between 30 to 79. Okay. Then let's say like kita ambil 30% kat sini macam ni, right? So meaning to say daripada 120 jam kredit SLT of our subject, 36% secara blended learning and another 70% ataupun 84% secara konvensional. Okay. And then the middle tu saya buatkan perbezaan antara what the content and also pembelajaran dalam talian dan juga pembelajaran konvensional lah. Apa itu 36% tu consist of what? Okay. And jadual 4 yang hujung tu, simulasi tu, macam mana kita nak pecahkan? Okay. Dan ingat, remember, banyak juga cases yang audit that found out this information were not translated into your lesson plan. Okay. Itu pun antara something yang audit selalu tegur lah, ataupun KA selalu tegur, which is okay, decided dah buat blended learning tapi tak amend the scheme of work, tak amend the syllabus, tak amend the documentation yang the element of blended learning. Okay. Dia sebenarnya technically dia ada various way to perform the blended learning. For example, in case of my subject in UITM, the blended learning element is weekly, daripada week 1 sampai week 14. Okay, so dia allocate 1 hour per week. Tapi kalau kita tengok example of yang dalam jadual 4 yang saya siarkan ni, dia pilih selected week. Okay, for example, in content 40% atau 14 hours tu came from week 3, 4, 5, 8, 9 for example. Learning activity 40% week 3, 5, 4, dia ada various way pula. Lepas tu di dalam weekly tu pula dia ada different types of activity ataupun tool yang digunakan. Alright? So this is a easiest example lah. Normally kalau lecturer tanya saya kan, doktor, what is actually the ideal percentage? It depend on your ability to create the content. Okay, tapi sebabkan MQA dah letakkan the minimum tu is 30%, so selalunya for new lecturer yang baru nak berjinak-jinak dalam blended learning, I will advise them to go to the minimum level lah, which is 30%. Okay, and over the year ke, over the semester ke, you boleh tengok lah pattern tu, pelajar tu memang boleh handle ke tak boleh, ataupun memang your subject tu the 30% tu dah good enough. Kalau more than that, pelajar dah tak boleh nak betul-betul immerse dalam subjek. Okay, so well it depend on your nature of subject, nature of program, nature of courses and everything. but the minimum is 30%. So when after we have decided to, let's say, implement and use the formula 30%, kemudian kita guna formula 40-40-20, this is the implementation that we need to to buat to ensure the blended learning process tu properly documented and also implemented secara valid. Okay, dia ada 5 process. The first process is, first of all, of course kita kena map SLT. Okay, ambil SLT lama, our conventional SLT, and then now kita masukkan elemen blended learning tu. Map the SLT and identify the online component. That is the first one. Okay. Then bila kita dah ada the scheme of work, the syllabus yang dah di-amend, the next process adalah to upload material in the LMS or any of the online platform that kita guna. Alright. Yang agak to be honest, yang agak challenging adalah the third one, to plan the synchronous dan asynchronous activity. Okay, because kadang-kadang kita cakna dengan term types of learning activity ni, tapi kadang-kadang kita takut, kadang-kadang kita tak biasa, kita macam ini kena bayar ke, kena subscribe ke, contohnya kan. So well, it depend on university. Kadang-kadang some university dia apa kita kata ada pusat software berpusat where you can request for access to Kahoot, access to Mentimeter for example. Alright, it depend lah on university. But kalau tak ada pun, macam saya sendiri, memang saya subscribe on my own lah, Mentimeter, Kahoot, quizzes and everything. Okay, and then the next step is to plan the online assessment. As I said just now, online assessment of a blended learning is a must, that 20%. Okay, last but not least, must be documented. Okay, the best way for documentation is to embed dalam LMS. For example, in UiTM, the LMS tu yang kita gunakan, which is called the UFuture tu, memang boleh track the activity of lecturer. In case ada auditor datang untuk audit, untuk ask for proof that we conduct the blended learning, kita tinggal klik dan print saja the blended learning report. That's all the case of UiTM. That I'm sure that other university including UPM pun boleh ada mekanisme tu yang boleh download ataupun dapatkan laporan blended learning. Okay, itu kalau lecturer guna formal ataupun official learning platform yang diperuntukkan oleh universiti. Tapi disebabkan lecturers ni, akademia, kawan-kawan kita klik ni, tak semua yang macam nak guna kan. Ada yang memang dia lebih selesa dengan Google Classroom. Ada yang kata, saya buat blended learning saya dekat Telegram. Tak ada masalah, boleh. Okay, in fact dekat UiTM pun kita tak ada lagi satu arahan yang menegaskan the only source of blended learning ataupun platform adalah through our LMS UFuture tu. Kita tak ada arahan lagi tu. So kita bagi lagi kelepasan, but then the documentation tu, okay, the proof, the screenshot of discussion, of forum must be there for the audit purpose. Itu antara isu yang saya rasa saya kena tekankan lah. Sebab kadang-kadang kita seronok buat blended learning tapi terlupa ada elemen documentation yang perlu di-proof oleh bila ada audit lah. Okay, again, so this is the to ensure that the blended learning ni work perfectly, kita kena ada mindset, what we call it 40-30-20 design mindset ni. Okay, dia ada 3 komponen seperti saya explain tadi lah, 40-40-20. Okay, 40 for e-content, 40 for activity and also 20 for assessment. Saya ada buat satu-satu. Okay, so now for example the first element adalah content. Okay, so dalam content ni apa elemen-elemen yang kita boleh buat? We can have the interactive modul asynchronous, contohnya micro video, self-paced multimedia lecture, narrated presentation, animation, simulation, VR, AR and everything lah. Alright. And then we can also have recorded lectures ataupun screencast, practical laboratory video, industry visit video. Kadang-kadang tuan-tuan perempuan ada pergi, macam for example myself, saya ajar hotel management subjek. So kadang-kadang subjek tu nama F&B, front, food and beverage management. You know what I did? Pengalaman ataupun my personal experience went for a dinner dekat restoran dinner malam-malam. Itu pun saya record and saya share as a recorded lecture ataupun content, dan saya share dalam blended learning untuk budak tengok. Sebab kadang-kadang student kan came from a various different family. Kadang-kadang ada yang budak mungkin B40 tak boleh nak imagine fine dining tu macam mana. So actually through our experience and apa video yang kita recorded ni, kita boleh share dan minta dia komen, bagi some review and feedback and everything. So itu pun boleh digunakan sebagai digital content, elemen yang 40% tu. Okay, we have digital reading text, and also we have synchronous enhancement, contohnya macam content premier webinar, podcast. Okay, and for those yang memang dah bangunkan MOOC ataupun Massive Open Online Courses, itu extra advantage lah. So the MOOC itself is actually a very digital rich content to as a main source of blended learning. Okay, kalau sebab kebiasaannya bila kita design MOOC, kita dah memang ambil kira week kan, the weeks, the content, the chapters and everything. Alright. And then kita ada activity. Okay, activity 40% tu kita ada synchronous, asynchronous dan juga blend. Okay, macam inilah kita ada untuk synchronous kita ada breakout, Zoom, kita ada Mentimeter, Slido, tanya dia word count, everything lah. Collaborative whiteboard, contohnya macam Jamboard, Miro, we have Kahoot, we have Edpuzzle, we have lab tutorial and everything. So itu under synchronous. Ada asynchronous, we have the online forum, we have Padlet, debate, we have group wikis, we have Google Doc, share Google Doc, we have reflective blog, we have video diaries, we have forum and LMS and everything. Okay, kalau ada blend, ada juga yang dia macam blend. Blend tu maksudnya kita started dengan live poll, and then the debate tu dibuat di forum secara asynchronous, dan di end dengan reflective journal sebagai assessment. So dia macam hit everything dalam 3 dalam 1. Kita start dengan during synchronous tu kita buat live poll, kita tanya dia pendapat. So daripada dia punya feedback tu kita start buat debate di forum, kemudian daripada hasil tu kita buat di reflective journal lah. And then this is how kita measure the 20%. The 20% assessment too, it can come from the formative, summative, and also authentic portfolio based. Okay, so contohnya mini project, digital storytelling, e-portfolio guna Mahara, OneNote class OneNote class netbook and everything. Okay, so ni example of the 20% assessment that blended learning should have tu lah. Alright. So, and then okay, so this is very important lah for each Institute of Higher Learning, faculty ataupun any PTJ to successfully implement blended, kena ada 6 element. Okay, elemen pertama adalah the learner. The learner tu must able to give some empowerment, autonomous, motivated, and also digitally empowered. They take an active role in constructing knowledge rather than waiting to receive it. So that is the first one. The learner, the student tu, the core of the system. And then the teacher, our academia, ada juga isu yang student dah berkobar-kobar tapi duk tunggu forum. Macam sampai ke malam tak ada forum. Rupanya lecturer tu lupa that they supposed to conduct the blended learning. Right? So the teacher should perform the role as a designer and also facilitator for the blended learning. And then the third one, of course, with learner and teacher came the content. Okay, so the content is uh, content kita ni tak boleh static lah, tak boleh. Kalau kan kadang-kadang kan conventional ni kita warisi slide yang syarah kita 10 tahun lepas sampai sekarang kita guna lagi. Ada some cases lah, not all, tapi saya kadang bila audit saya jumpa, kita tengok ni bila dibangunkan ni 10 years ago kan. So tapi bila kita ada blended learning, dia content kita ni not supposed to be static. Okay, it should be interactive, multimedia, co-create by learner dan juga the teacher. And then ada content pun tak ada teknologi pun susah juga. So technology is also should be the enabler. Okay, the enabler, the platform, the right platform, the right tool and everything lah. Okay, and then the learner support tadi it can be divided into three: the academic support, the technical support, and also emotional support. Kadang-kadang tengah-tengah dia guna tu, tengah menjawab test, dah submit, tak boleh submit, for example. So where the learner tu nak make complaint, nak get help desk and everything, so kena ada the technical support juga. The institution, last but not least, number 6 tu the institutions. I mean, kalau lecturer dah bersemangat, the student bersemangat, content dah ada, but then if the institution tak rasa the blended learning ni is something yang should be promoted, then tak jadi culture juga. So the culture tu should come from the institution tu as a ecosystem backbone. Okay, it should come with a policy, infrastructure, and also culture that sustain the blended learning. All right. Okay, so this is the reference that I referred to, COL. I also referred to this Garis Panduan Pelaksanaan Pembelajaran Tradun yang developed by team orang yang bangunkan pun ada Prof Wan Zuhanis kat sini. Thank you Prof for developing the garis panduan pembelajaran tradun ni, which is I rasa sangat komprehensif dan boleh should be downloaded oleh semua lecturer sebenarnya to understand. Very very simple, easy. I tell you, the garis panduan is very easy to understand. Lengkap dengan simulasi how to simulate your blended learning and to guide you to ensure that at the end of the day you do it right at the very beginning. Okay, supaya kita tak nak macam dah buat dah M semester, bila audit datang, oh rupanya salah konsep tu, tak cukup jam, for example. Okay, so refer at the proper ataupun the right garis panduan to ensure that you do it right at the first time. Okay, alright. So saya rasa itu sahaja dulu, Dr. Hisham, on my short sharing on the blended learning. So mungkin nanti boleh open for Q&A jugalah kalau ada. Right.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ismail. Padat, tepat, dan juga very knowledgeable lah, dan ada factual kat situ. So saya open Q&A kepada semua warga UPM dan juga yang menghadiri webinar ini untuk bertanya soalan. Boleh unmute, you can unmute your mic and ask question. Anyone? Any questions from the floor? If not, saya tanya dulu lah Dr. Ismail.
Boleh.
Okay, given the diverse digital competency among both students and educators, so what are some effective approaches to bridge the digital readiness gap while maintaining inclusivity and also engagement in a blended classroom?
Okay, right. So this is my normal practice ataupun in UiTM dia ada satu kita kata aktiviti ataupun approach yang diwajibkan diadakan adalah on the first week of semester, during the briefing dan juga course introduction, kita kena buat satu aktiviti yang dipanggil student profiling. Okay, student profiling tu where we use whatever tool lah. Macam saya guna Kahoot, where I embark and also I get the feedback from the student on dia punya learning behavior, learning preference. So question-question yang saya tanya kat situ macam contohnya macam uh, the suitable time to conduct certain synchronized session, for example, how they prefer to get respond on assignment one to one ke direct ke group ke what are the tools that they guna. Some to my surprise memang ada orang yang memang tak ada laptop. Tak ada laptop. So the only dia way adalah dia memang pergi buat belajar siapkan assignment
Apple Cafe.
di library ke di lab
library.
ataupun whatever
Labcom.
tak adalah ataupun dia pinjam. So kita as I said lah kelebihan bila blended learning kita memang boleh fluctuate kan ataupun berubah the flexibility untuk kita amend the activity then the assessment the content tu berdasarkan student yang kita akan ajar tu. So ada student, ada group yang saya buat dia punya activity tu sangat comprehensive because it's a senior student. Walaupun subjek sama Dr. Syam, subjek saya ajar STT 669 ni hospitality technology. So saya ada subjek tu dia ambil juga elective of a junior student. So saya memang akan the flexibility of my activity, my content, also type of assessment saya tu saya akan berubah-ubah ikut without compromising the PLO yang saya nak capai. Okay, at the end of the day kita tak boleh lah sampai ubah sampai tak capai ataupun the kesukaran tu tak sama kan. Tapi the way we conduct classes, activities semua tu will depend on the student tu lah. So my advice is always do the student profiling at the beginning of the semester to understand your learner. So because the learner tu macam like to your customer kan. And for lecturer saya rasa the best way is actually from time to time memang you kena ada initiative and effort to learn new things. Okay, as I said, learning to never stop. Kalau kita rasa dengar macam saya memang kadang-kadang impressed of some of a few senior lecturer yang memang berguru depan-depan ajar kita macam mana nak develop ajar dia macam mana nak buat screencast, how to do the micro video for example. And kita pun bila kita ajar pun kita ajar from the very basic to the advanced level lah. Tak adalah terus ajar-ajar macam advanced level lah. So doktor start dengan ni dulu, ini free layout, and then bila dia dah ada culture dan dia dah mula minat, sudah saya suka lah ni, nanti I tell you dia akan cari untuk the hunger for more learning tu never stop lah. So saya impressed lah of some senior lecturers on that.
I think most educators pun dah start pecah tabung dah. Ada yang kita nak kena subscribe kan, ramai pecah tabung sanggup pecah tabung untuk to have more options for blended learning kan. There's one question from the chat box, Dr. Ismawi. From your experience, do the students perform academically grade-wise better when using blended learning method or the traditional method? From your experience.
Okay, so kalau saya bercakap from my experience, because memang when I use blended learning tu, I really immerse dengan blended learning tu lah. Maksudnya I really buat study, buat effort, put some my effort on ensuring the activity that I post, activity that I start, embark semua tu memang dapat capai our constructive alignment kita dengan PLO lah. Yang saya notice memang as I said just now, the height of student tu, okay, and dia jadi sangat independent, dia explore new thing yang kadang-kadang saya pun tak ter-explore, but there is always kita kata a limit that kita gariskan lah kan. Maksudnya kadang-kadang dia bila dah smart sangat dia mula nak apa kita kata cari jalan pintas lah guna AI and everything. I always tell my student I will never say no to ChatGPT lah. Memang you should and you should learn to use it kalau tak pernah guna, but then responsibly use it. Dan juga kadang-kadang kita take some quote unquote macam ajar lah dia the right way of using ChatGPT. Tapi to answer that question tadi tu, memang saya dapat tengok trend lah. Kalau saya boleh sebab saya jadikan satu subjek ni macam satu benchmark pada saya untuk saya monitor kan. So saya, dah subjek tu dah ada 4 SEM. 2 SEM awal memang kita guna conventional, 2 SEM latest ni kita guna blended learning. So the assignment of student tu memang can be seen dalam blended learning tu lah. Terutamanya dalam penghasilan assignment, saya sangat impress lah. Bila dia nak hasilkan video, dia nak hasilkan um, apa uh, uh, individual assignment dia, tool yang dia gunakan tu, kadang-kadang kita pun memang tak terkejar lah. Kadang-kadang dia macam, betul saya gunakan ni, kita pun tak pernah dengar. So saya tanya dia macam mana belajar. They can learn actually from YouTube everything, very comprehensive cara from step A sampai Z tu kan dah ada di YouTube. So diorang boleh hasilkan tu. Tapi agak impresif lah daripada normal printed material yang sebelum ni kita minta dia hasil tu kan. Dia end up akan dibuang kan. Kadang-kadang kita kita tengoklah ujung-ujung sen kita tak sebuang. Tapi dengan via blended learning ni, banyak assessment yang saya dah jadi sangat kreatif dan student pun sangat kreatif, dan juga diorang boleh immerse lah, dia boleh ingat. Bila kita jumpa sem-sem depan, dia boleh kata, doktor ingat lagi yang kita buat tu, yang kita pergi ni, yang kita discuss ni. So they can remember. Unlike sebelum-sebelum ni yang kita conventional kan, bila habis je sem
Please.
tu, macam habis.
Ya, ya, I agree with that. I think macam program saya di jabatan kita ada yang with education, so dia bakal jadi cikgu. So good to see when bila mereka implement apa yang mereka belajar lah, especially yang related dengan blended learning kan kat sekolah. Sekarang pun dah ada alat bantu mengajar yang canggih-canggih kalau sekolah-sekolah yang terpilih tu. So basically saya rasa all educators and student, first thing first, they have to have soul bila nak buat blended learning lah. Bila dah ada soul tu baru kita boleh buat dan merancang dengan, bukan kita rasa stress tau, kita akan rasa seronok untuk explore more. Yeah, Dr. Wan?
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah.
Dr. Syam. Thank you, Dr. Ismawi, for accepting our invitation, for sharing your experience in this lunch hour ni. Thank you everyone for joining us this afternoon. I would like to ask, I think Dr. Syam, we have also international participant today.
Yeah.
I would like to ask regarding, I'm not sure whether UiTM is still having the initiative on the Week Without Walls. Sorry, I came in a bit late tadi, baru habis meeting. Week Without Walls in UiTM that was that started in 2018. Are you still having the program?
Yes, Prof. But then it's not implemented on all faculty, on selected faculty. But yes, my faculty in hospitality, we still conduct the Week Without Wall. So Week Without Wall, for example, this semester is been chosen in week 11, for example. So
Okay.
no class, no
Class,
no
yeah. Fully
yeah.
online, right?
Fully online, I mean not necessarily online, Prof. Dia boleh juga it can be conducted via the field visit, field trip,
Oh, I see.
webinar, but cannot be
As long as it's
conducted.
not in the classroom.
Yeah, not in the classroom.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I may ask again regarding your I mean, we have started this blended learning since 2014, so it's actually 11 years, and I remember when we were trying to introduce blended learning as supplement to the contact hours, and it was only 30%, right? 30% of the course. So that's why we have to comply the 1732. Remember? So that 1732 is like dah jadi macam zikir tu. 1732, and now we move on to also PTG, the pembelajaran teradu gantian or substitution. I was wondering, how is um, the culture now in UITM for this blended learning? Is it part of your, I mean, it is compulsory, or what is the policy? Is it, because every year also we send our reporting to KPT, for example, on the status of our blended learning courses. And it has been now 11 years that we have pushing for blended learning, but there are also still courses that could not even achieve that certain percentage. What is your take on that?
Okay, so Prof, in UiTM, the JANA, Jabatan Akademik and Antarabangsa has been promoting blended learning throughout the programs. But there is two condition where blended learning kadang-kadang there is some limitation. The first, the courses under the professional body, and the second one, the courses with certain program standard.
Okay.
Let's say, including my faculty, Faculty of Hotel and Tourism, where it stated that the maximum number of courses to be offered via the blended learning is 30% of the overall courses in the program. So there are certain limitation. There is a certain limitation where certain program standards stated that. Walaupun, I think because that program standard is actually quite some time, and they are revising it to promote a larger percentage. But then in UiTM, it's been the norm, Prof, to conduct the blended learning. In fact, our LMS, because we developed our LMS called the Future, so the BL reporting is actually can be produced and being used as one of the material for audit, and also CDS, CQI reporting at the end of the semester. But the trick is to ensure that lecturer ni been selalu refresh ataupun alert about the blended learning ni. The registration of blended learning ni tak secara automatic. So it need to be re-registered at the first week of semester, every semester. So the resource person need to click button registered blended learning every semester on the first week of the semester. So that when the RP click, it give other campuses the opportunity. What happened, Prof? There are some cases that the RP in HQ tak nak buat, don't want to do that. But then there are certain reason requested by campuses, for example, campuses with very limited classroom where they can only allow 2-hour class. So that 1 hour extra class is be implemented via the blended learning. So, but then RP need to re-register every semester, and then when the RP registered, then only the reporting started. It will track anything that been used via the LMS.
Okay, interesting. Thank you, Dr. Ismawi.
Thank you, Rismawi. Kalau tengok komen pun ada cakap, Miss Puspa kata, we need to change with time and our learners. Yes, it requires effort and also money. Macam yang I said earlier, pecah tabung. But kita seronok to see when ada differences between the new generation sekarang, because they are more, I think they are more have the effort to explore more things, new things in AI digital learning especially.
There is a question in the chat, Dr. Isha.
I did. Dah jawab dah tadi.
Okay.
Dr. Janet sudah.
Okay.
And we have one comment from Miss Puspa.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So, is there any? I allow one more questions if you have any more questions for Dr. Ismawi. No.
If Dr. Hisham, I would like to echo sikit. Very interesting point yang highlighted just now by the comment by the it's all started from institution lah sebenarnya.
Yep.
I mean how institution value blended learning, and then it been transferred ataupun ditonjolkan melalui budget, melalui policies, punca kuasa and everything. What happened is now is yes, we encourage the lecturers to do blended learning, and there is no like, bukanlah lecturer nak reward sangat, tapi if only that certain recognition, best content, best online assessment, kita tak ada lah. So benda-benda tu sebenarnya kan,
Motivation,
so
like
Hmm.
yeah,
incentive lah.
insentif
Yeah.
semua tu kan. So itu agak because I tell you the effort and time to produce 10-minute video is no joke I mean the
Exactly.
editing part and everything. So but then lecturer sampai satu tahap dia akan burn out kan. Tak ada recognition pun, tak ada apa pun. And I'm sure that if dia kita boleh promote some incentive ataupun recognition ataupun even award. Patutnya award e-learning ni ada satu khas lain. Tak kan, kalau di UiTM dia ada satu je, maksudnya di bawah anugerah akademik universiti, anugerah pembelajaran je, e-pembelajaran. Sedangkan I mean you can create more kan, like e-content, online interesting online assessment kan, nak come up with a online case study pun nak kena effort, the rubric,
Yeah.
because online case study and conventional slightly different kan, so itu antara yang saya rasa can be done lah.
We can work together, UPM, UiTM.
ATM.
Okay.
Interesting.
Accept.
Boleh, Prof.
All right. I think thank you so much for your time, Dr. Ismail, for your sharing section. Thank you to all who joining our webinar today. Though it's your lunch time, so hopefully what have been shared will beneficial every one of us. Keep innovating. Keep explore more. I'm pretty sure there's a lot more that we need to explore. Duit boleh cari, but knowledge tu yang most precious one lah. If we can share with other people, that will be our saham for akhirat, insyaAllah. So with that, thank you so much, Dr. Ismawi. Thank you, Dr. Wan Zuhanis, for joining us today. Thank you, Khalid, for inviting both of us, Barista and me as well. So hopefully to see you guys more our webinar series, cafe series soon.
In our next menus.
Yes, next menu. Banyak menu baru ni.
Thank you so much.
Alright, thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dr. Ismail. Thank you, everyone.
Alright.
Take care.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you, Prof.